Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of In Time. Now this movie is directed by Andrew Niccol, who did Gattaca and The Truman Show, and this movie stars Justin Timberlake, Amanda Seyfriend, and Cillian Murphy, with Olivia Wilde, Alex Pettifyr, Vincent Kartheiser, and Matt Bomer. When I saw a trailer to this movie, my first thought was, okay, it's going to be pretty futuristic, so it reminded me of movies like Equilibrium, Minority Report, Surrogates, and I'll probably list off a couple other sci-fi movies later in the review. But the plot of the movie is, sometime in the future, the world has become overpopulated. To counteract that, society has deemed this way of basically making sure that nobody lives too long. So what they've done is they've given people time limits on their lives, pretty much. Time is the new currency. It's the new money. And so people can only live to be 25 years old, max. But then they're given 1 year after the 25 age limit to pretty much fight for their time and make their time. You have some people living for hundreds of years because they've earned money or time. Then you have people that are living in the ghetto of society, like Justin Timberlake's character, who is literally living from hour to hour and day to day, struggling to make ends meet in this form of time. The plot is Justin Timberlake plays Will Salas, who's from the ghetto, and he meets Henry Hamilton, who's this rich guy, and when I say rich, I mean he has a lot of time on his hands, literally. And so he meets this guy, saves his life. The guy ends up giving him tons of time. Well, this exchange causes a investigation to occur, and basically Cillian Murphy plays this time hunter who's like The Rock in Fast 5 or Tommy Lee Jones in The Fugitive. He's like the tracker type of guy who's after Justin Timberlake because he thinks that Justin Timberlake committed a crime, which he clearly didn't. And so through the course of the movie, Justin Timberlake is pretty much running for his life the whole movie, and he meets Amanda Seyfriend, who's this daughter of this rich guy. And so he kidnaps her, and basically they're on the run. And then they form a Bonnie and Clyde type of relationship. Now, before he meets Amanda Seyfriend, the movie was really interesting, but after that, the whole Bonnie and Clyde concept was just kind of like, really, this is the rest of the movie? I mean, it was like, there were times that were action-packed, yes, and comical, but if it wasn't either of those times, it was kind of boring and kind of dull, because you didn't know what their next move was going to be. You didn't know what was going to happen next. I mean, you were interested because the movie was so slow at times, but, you know, there really wasn't any planning. You know, Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfriend's character, it seems like they made up their movements as they went along. I mean, this movie had elements of all those sci-fi movies I listed, plus like a James Bond movie where, you know, he's fighting for his life and struggling to survive with this female by his side. But it just kind of seemed like they got a lot of lucky breaks, and they really didn't have a thought process or a plan of what they were going to do next. So that part let me down a bit, because I thought the whole movie was going to be action-packed and suspenseful and, you know, darker. But as far as the acting goes, Justin Timberlake did a decent job. Unfortunately for him, he's just one of those actors that has been part of a supporting cast for so long, like he was in Southland Tales or Alpha Dog or Black Snake Moan, or countless other movies, just like Steve Zahn, where when Steve Zahn finally got to star in Strange Wilderness as the main guy, he, to me, was a disappointment. Well, that's the way I felt about Justin Timberlake, where, yes, he was witty, and he pulled off some of the action scenes, but, I mean, maybe it's just his look, because in this society in the movie, everybody's, like, wearing all black and all leather, you know, like in the movie Equilibrium, and he's, like, the only guy in the whole movie that has, you know, 5 o'clock shadow and, you know, a shaved head. He looks different from everybody else. So I really can't think of anybody else that could have played that role. Maybe one of the fellow cast members, because they were all, you know, looking like they were 25. Maybe Alex Pettifyr could have done the role, and Justin Timberlake could have played Alex Pettifyr's role. I think that would have worked. Anyways, Amanda Seyfriend in this movie, she was just hot, and that's it. I mean, the wig that she was wearing wasn't very attractive, and I don't know, to me she was just a pretty face in this movie. Cillian Murphy as the timekeeper, he did a pretty good job. I was glad to see him again in movies, though he did kind of look like he was bored when he wasn't talking or chasing after Justin Timberlake. Maybe that's just his look. The co-stars, Alex Pettifyr as this, you know, bully character. Good job. Good job on his part. Matt Bomer has a small supporting role. Great job as well. I want to see him in more stuff. And then you have Olivia Wilde, who plays Justin Timberlake's mother in a minor role. Her role really could have been given to anybody else. Really, the role of the mother really didn't have to be in the movie, but it added for some dramatic elements, so it was okay for what it was. The concept of the movie was really interesting, and I was very intrigued by it. It kind of had the whole, society and the government is corrupted, so one man's going to stand up and fight the system and going to bring it all down, kind of like The Island or Surrogates, or I guess you could maybe say Repo Men, but to me, it wasn't dark enough. I mean, it's kind of hard to put my finger on it. I mean, it just wasn't. I think the range of characters was very limited in this type of movie, and because of that, you couldn't have any older actors playing in the roles. I think if older actors were in this movie, people that looked much older than the 25 age limit, I think it would have been more interesting. I think the character development would have been better, because it was just like we got really just these one-dimensional point of views of each of the characters. So it's my little gripe. Again, I can't quite put my finger on it, but the concept would have sold me. If this were a book, I would read it. But the movie version, the way it was done, wasn't that great. So a rating from 1 to a 5, I'm giving it a 3. Now, if you like sci-fi movies that are futuristic and stuff, as I'm watching In Time, I kept thinking this movie resembles a lot of things, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it resembled the most, and I thought of it. If you haven't seen a movie from the 1970s called Logan's Run, starring Michael York, check it out, because it's very similar to this movie, where nobody lives past the age of 30. And it's interesting because Logan's Run is a lot like the two movies that Andrew Niccol directed, Gattaca and Truman Show, and now this, all in one movie. So if you like sci-fi stuff, check it out. Alright, so till next time, guys, see ya.